Hello and welcome to Express Sports Podcast. You're listening to Game Time with me, Mihir Vasavda. Vinayak Mohanarangan is there as always, joining us today all the way from Chepauk after a very, very hearty lunch. A very satisfied sounding Venkat Krishna B. Chepauk is perhaps one venue that we'll keep hearing a lot over the next 2 months because generally that's where they claim is the best fan base of the IPL. It begins, rather by the time you listen, it would have begun on Saturday. It's summertime. For kids, the exams are yet to get over. For the elders, well, this is the best pastime there could be. IPL kicked off on Saturday at the Eden Gardens. It'll end at the Eden Gardens as well on May 25. And this season, we have plenty to talk. So, well, initially at least I thought we'll do team by team, but then Vinayak suggested कि थोड़ा सा bland and boring or शायद drag हो जाएगा. So, we're just kind of going to wing this, aren't we, Vinayak?
IPL is about the vibes, right? So, let's stick to the vibes.
It is about the vibes indeed. And the vibes at Chennai are pretty strong, Venkat, because we'll start from there. What was for lunch at Chepauk?
See, thing is, if a cricket season has to begin in Chennai, first you have to head to the Nair Mess, have some good meals over here with some fish curry and fish fry. So that, for me, is a start of the season. And today has been no different. So, quite good. Now, I think you might be hearing on and off about like some whistle port song in the background. So please pardon me because preparations are full swing over here. As I look around the stadium, I see the champions being written in a huge font with 2010, 2011, 2018, 2021, 2023 written. So it reminds me of like, say, Vinayak, what we see quite often in Arsenal, isn't it? Around the stadium, the champions here and there written, unbeaten run. It's similar sort of a thing is what I find over here. So yeah, quite a good place to start the season for me personally, as usual.
Oh, well, it's like getting stuck in a podcast with two Arsenal fans. I guess it'll be only fitting if Chennai Super Kings finish second this season, I guess. Won't it, Vinayak?
I don't know whether they win or whether they lose. I would be happy if someone calls it a day. So it'll like sort of take a lot of pressure.
All right, the fireworks are off.
Totally.
The fireworks are off. So let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, the number 7 wearing elephant in the room, MS Dhoni. Venkat, what's the vibe this time with MSD? Last season it was almost like he was on a farewell tour. Wherever he went, it was a grand party. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's come back this season as well. What's he been doing in the year that's gone by? And how does he look from whatever you've seen so far?
See, let me tell you one thing. Compared to the last couple of seasons, he looks the fittest this season. He's been like running, he has been sprinting without any trouble to his knee. So, which is like totally a welcome sign as far as the diehard Thala fans are concerned. But what I'll be interesting to see is like whether he continues to play all the games this season. There are some talks that, okay, he might come in just as an impact player and stuff. But let's see, that's like going to be a long season. I think CSK will take it one game at a time because in the home conditions you have, by the looks of it, they're going to like go back to the spin formula where 3 spinners will be in action, Ashwin, Jadeja and Noor Ahmed. So if that is the case, then you require him to like squat for like 12 overs, which is like a lot given his age. So there is a lot to be like factored in that aspect as well. But from what I've seen, he looks by far the fittest over the last 2 seasons. Last season, despite having a knee surgery, he was struggling to stop, running beyond a point. But this time he's been sprinting like the usual Dhoni that we have seen, like who likes to like just add between the wickets, right? He's like quick between wickets. He was doing it without any trouble. So let's see how it goes. But there is like, I won't call it a mood spoiler, but the thing is, last 2 seasons, fans have turned out in numbers to have a glimpse of him. It's been like coming to Chepauk means is coming to a movie theater where they're just expecting Dhoni to enter in a 3-hour drama. And then once that happens, it's like, means like, okay, paisa vasool, it's done. But they didn't care about like whether CSK was losing, CSK was winning. But this time, I think maybe more to do with what happened last season in terms of the results where they didn't make the playoff. There are some voices, let me tell you, even among the hardcore Dhoni fans who are like beginning to ask like, will this be the last? Should this be the last for him? It's like, has he stretched too much beyond his peak? So those sort of things have started to hear. But again, if he comes and he's going to blast 3-4 sixes in a game, then all of it will like fall silent. Because again, batting wise, he looked completely like, he was like, looked as good as what he was last season. Last season, he had the highest strike rate among all those batsmen who batted at the death. And this time as well, he came in, he was like smacking Matisha Patirana and a lot of CSK bowlers in the practice game. And even in the nets, from whatever the glimpses I've had of him, he has been like really, really like sort of getting the muscle and like powering, hitting like some towering sixes. So let's see what it holds, because once the game begins, then we'll know the real test for Dhoni.
Just to add there, I think Venkat mentioned two questions, and those two questions are completely not dependent on each other when it comes to MS Dhoni. Will he play next year and should he play next year?
I was just going to say that.
Those are like two different... Will he and should he is a completely different narrative. I mean, as long as he is going to say he'll play, CSK is going to keep picking him as the uncapped player. Oh yeah, this season he is uncapped. For that, one of the most successful captains in Indian history is going to be uncapped in the IPL this year. Yeah, so will he is completely dependent on Dhoni. The franchise is always going to say yes. Should he is a completely different debate. I think that's, like Venkat mentioned, I think even last year there were murmurs of what Dhoni is doing. Like, I mean, whether it's really adding anything, if he's coming in for like 8-9 balls in the end. And I mean, even if he's hitting a couple of sixes, whether that's enough to keep the team balanced and things like that were discussed last year as well. So if that is the same thing that they are planning on doing this year, and there'll be more discussions. But yeah, like I think one of the things that CSK do have going for them this year is if they revert to their home fortress sort of situation where the tracks turn and they have very, very good spin attack, not just the three that Venkat mentioned, even Rachin is a very solid fourth option. So yeah, I mean, if they manage to win maybe 6 or 7 of the home games, then they would be looking good for the playoffs once more. I'd be interested to see how Ruturaj goes. We'll get to the captains, I guess, next. But in a way, last season, he was given a team. I'm not sure how involved he was in auction because, like, you listen to CSK people speak and they still refer to Dhoni as the be-all and end-all of it when it comes to the auction. So I don't know how much Ruturaj was involved. But this is the season where he's gotten in here to bed into the role, and it'll be interesting to see how that transition continues this year. So yeah, speaking of captains, quite a few interesting choices around the league, Mihir.
Yeah, and since we are at on CSK, their first opponents, Mumbai Indians, will be out without their regular captain. Hardik Pandya will be serving that suspension which he got for a slow rate last season. So he won't be there for the CSK game. Surya Kumar Yadav will be captain in Mumbai for that match. Not Rohit. So, well, here's for the fan groups to get active again. But RCB, I mean, I don't know if Venkat Vinayak, it surprised you guys that they named Rajat Patidar as their new captain, succeeding Faf du Plessis. It was funny because the moment they named Rajat Patidar as the captain, within 5 minutes or 10 minutes of it, we got a statement from the club. I mean, it was a statement backing Rajat Patidar, but it was almost like, Virat Kohli approves of this appointment kind of a vibe to it. And I just found it kind of hilarious that they felt the need to do it.
Fair enough. Here, like, thing is, with Andy Flower coming in, you really thought, okay, like maybe he's going to run the show by looks of it. So Patidar, in that sense, like sort of makes for a fresh beginning of sorts, right, isn't it? Because if you go back to Kohli, yes, Kohli would have definitely, from the brand value and all other aspect, he would have definitely been a good choice. But they want to build fresh. They're trying to do something different, which they haven't done in the last few seasons. They have banked on experience. They have have a balanced team on paper. So if Andy Flower is going to run the show from the dugout and he prefers to do it his way, I think it probably helps that he has the captain like Patidar, who will definitely be leaning a lot to him, right? Isn't it? He will be it for inputs, for anything. He will be leaning towards him. And then also Patidar, with Madhya Pradesh, he has worked with Chandrakant Pandit, again, another astute coach who knows how the system works. So Patidar, that wise, is not a totally out of the box choice, but it is totally un-RCB, isn't it? Because RCB is one team which goes for established names. It doesn't matter whether they have the qualities or whatever, they always go for the big names. So it's little un-RCB but I think with the squad they have, I think they can able to manage it. I think especially with Kohli around. And yeah, I think it should, let's see, but it's going to be a huge nightmare for him to get used to the home conditions. The captaining any team at Chinnaswamy is different, and it is very, very challenging as well.
Why though?
See, Chinnaswamy, you're talking about small grounds, the altitude, and then the bowlers are always at the receiving end. So See, you need to have a captain who accepts, okay, it's gonna be, this is how it is gonna be. Even if they go for runs, let's go for wickets or like find other means to contain the stream of runs. That's gonna be the thing. That's what the captains always struggle about because even RCB, that's why they have among all the teams, they have the worst home record because it's like a captain's nightmare that ground is. So let's see how he goes about it. That if they have taken a big leap of faith by choosing Patidar, but I hope they don't like sort of press the panic button and say like, okay, listen, this is not working. Let's bring in Kohli back. That will be the easiest thing to do, but I hope they don't do that. Vinayak?
The thing that I found odd was, like, I mean, before the auction, one of the teams that really needed a captain, I mean, quite a few needed a captain, and RCB were one of those. And they didn't really go hard after anyone for that role. So whether that was pre-planned or it just worked out that way, I'm not 100% sure. Because by the end of the auction, it was almost like, okay, now they have no other option but Kohli. Like, so are they going to go back to Kohli? Then they took their time and now they've gone with Rajat, who seems like a very sorted sort of guy, like from what he speaks and his general, I mean, attitude towards batting is also quite uncluttered and free-flowing. So if that is his style of captaincy, then, I don't know if RCB will struggle too much on that front. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting choice for sure. And how much of whether Kohli wanted it or not played into this is something that I'm guessing we might not know. So, like you said, if they indeed press the panic button, who do they go back to? I mean, do they go back to Kohli? I don't really see that happening. So that will be an interesting thing if we do arrive at that point of time. Speaking of potential captaincy changes midway through, I think KKR seemed like a very, very good option.
Wow.
If there were bets being taken, I think that would be a nice, nice odds around it, I'm guessing.
Poor Ajinkya Rahane, man. Here's a guy whose ambitions are to go to England and play some test matches there, and here you are killing his IPL midway through. It's not even begun.
Come on, he's a captain who won you a test series, man. Don't forget that.
I'm sure he'll not let anyone forget that, so that is a different thing.
Wow. Clearly, we have a Ajinkya Rahane fan in their house.
No, so that's, I mean, I have nothing against Rahane. One of the stories of CSK's rejuvenated Rahane we saw in CSK was quite thrilling to watch. It's just a strange choice, no? I mean,
yeah.
If you put together the first 11 for KKR, like purely objectively speaking, select the best 11 or even bring in an impact player, does Rahane fit naturally into it? I mean, that's the question that I'm struggling to answer. So if you made him the captain, you're kind of boxing yourself into that. You're picking him in the 11. I mean, he can't even be the impact player if he's the captain, right? I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. I mean, he can't just bat and go off. He has to be on the field all the time. Are you blocking someone like an Ankush Raghuvanshi's growth if you're doing that? Those are the things that I don't really understand. Again, like RCB, they played themselves into a corner. They had released the championship winning captain in Shreyas Iyer, who told us during the idea exchange that he didn't really feel too good about that. I mean, he'd have a point to prove at Punjab Kings, and now they are without their championship winning captain and a squad that doesn't really have a outright standout choice for captain.
Yeah.
Venkatesh Iyer seemed to be the pick that most people suggested, but they've gone with Ajinkya Rahane, and
too early.
Strangely enough, have named Venkatesh Iyer as the vice captain almost as if preparing themselves for a change.
But then, to be honest, chalo, I get your logic in Rane's thing where his place in the 11 itself is debatable. But then when we talk about, say, someone like Rajat Patil or even Akshar Patel, he'll be the new captain this time. How much of it even matters, man? Because, I mean, we've done a piece in the Indian Express on Friday, and I think it's an interesting, thought-provoking one, where I guess the whole captaincy scene in the IPL has become a bit like football, where you have your pre-decided strategies. You know who's going to bowl at the death, who's going to bat when. There are very few cases of, making instinctive decisions on the field. It's almost you set a pattern and you play according to that and you hope to win using that. So
actually, even more so, right, Mihir? I mean, if that is the case, if, say, Chandu Pandit and Bharat Tarun want to call the shots, then basically you can't drop Rahane, right? Like you've made yourself pick.
So I agree with you on Rahane.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of where, I mean, especially the reason that you mentioned with, the amount of inputs that come from the dugout, to reserve a spot for someone in the 11 who's probably not going to otherwise play all matches is slightly confusing. But yeah, I mean, with Rajat and Akshar, I'm completely on board. I think, yeah, like what Venkat had also mentioned, that's probably, and Akshar I'm actually quite excited to see how Akshar does in this role because, I mean, he comes across as a very calm head between the shoulders sort of guy, very easygoing approach to cricket and be a good leader, I think. I've got that sort of feeling with him for a while now. And yeah, I'm excited to see how he does with DC.
I mean, communication will be interesting. We know that he's comfortable speaking a lot in Hindi. IPL, I mean, how that communication translates. We've seen that we've seen that in, say, a sport like hockey, where you need someone to spread the message across the entire team when language becomes kind of a barrier. But I'm guessing these guys are well traveled enough. They've shared the dressing room in the past with these guys to iron out these flaws. Just that captaincy brings in that a little additional responsibility, I'm guessing. Not on field, but at least off field to keep everyone chirpy and in the mood, in the zone. So how Akshar kind of handles that is something I'll be looking forward to. But Venkat, in terms of, if we were to kind of crystal ball gaze this season, where would you start? Who's finishing at the bottom?
That's a very good thing, man. My bet is on like Rajasthan Royals, Gujarat Titans, and who else? I thought of one more team. Yeah, I think these two will find it hard, I believe, because
KKR?
No, KKR still, thing is, KKR moved out of Gambhir and Shreyas Iyer, but they still have the core with them. So I would still back them to still challenge for the top 4 place. But Rajasthan and Gujarat, I'm definitely not convinced, to be honest, because Rajasthan, they don't have overseas batsmen in the top 4. They have Hetmeyer. He's the only specialist overseas batsman they have in their lineup. So if something happens to Hetmeyer, what are they going to do? Who are they going to look at? So that, for me, is like a huge, huge hole. And similarly, Gujarat Titans, you look at it, they have like Shubman Gill, they have Josh Butler. And in the middle order, they don't have much option. They are like too top order heavy. So I'm really not too convinced about these two, how they'll go about it. If they're hoping that everything will click to their plan. But in IPL, it doesn't work that way, isn't it? We have seen even one glaring hole and teams will just make it huge and huge. So I'm not really sure about these two teams, how they will go about it. Rest, I think, seem to have the thing, right? Sunrisers have again got a good team. Chennai Super Kings, yes, good. Mumbai Indians, yes, they have got a good team. But thing is, whenever Bumrah is not available, Mumbai have tend to struggle a lot. So I'm just waiting to see when and how Bumrah returns. So that will play a huge role for them, because without Bumrah, any team will struggle, and Mumbai are no exception, I believe, despite having a strong Indian core of players who they can how many teams in the league you can name who can start the 11 with just 3 overseas players? They have the luxury of bringing in overseas players as a impact sub. That, for me, is a huge, huge plus.
Mm-hmm.
Other teams, they don't. The other teams, they usually rely on an Indian local player. But Mumbai Indians, they always bring in overseas players. So they got a good team. They are I'm just waiting to see how Mitchell Santner performs at Wankhede. He's one class act. So it's going to be I'm just waiting for the season to begin. As we speak, I just see Malinga coming and putting the stumps in place, and he's asking his fast bowlers to come in. So let's see who they turn into.
See, that's the kind of fly-on-the-wall information that we provide on Game Time. Venkat mentioned Bumrah, and I guess that's going to be the most watched thing this season. Not watching Bumrah, but just watching how he returns, how he shapes up when he returns, the way he's bowling, the way his body acts up, because we mustn't forget the bigger picture that immediately after the IPL, a month, I guess, after the IPL, India travelled to England for those 5 test matches, a very long tour. Who was it? I think it was it McGrath, or I forget, one of those Australian fast bowlers had recently said how India really need to protect Bumrah.
Shane Bond.
Sorry, it was Shane Bond, not McGrath. It was Shane Bond, the New Zealand guy. How India really need to protect Bumrah, ensure that he isn't overburdened in the IPL. And even in England, he said it's important that he isn't played each and every test match. So it's really Project Bumrah right now, how to preserve him if India really want to make an impact in England. But before that, in IPL, all eyes will be on him when he's in the dugout as well.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Of course, that will inevitably lead to the country versus club debate that we've had in the past as well. Whether Mumbai Indians have the same sort of mission statement for Project Bumrah as, say, the Indian cricket team, that is to be seen. I mean, of course, the franchise would want to win matches and they would want to win the title and all that. So the franchise goals are different than, the Indian cricket team goals. So that's always where the debate is going to come from. Whether, let's say, MI decide that he has a small niggle, but it's 4 overs and he can manage and he plays through a little bit of pain, which most elite athletes do all the time. It's not something new. And once the IPL is done, whether the body is able to take that load of test cricket immediately after. Yeah, it's a big little 3-month phase, not just for Bumrah, for Indian cricket, to see how he goes about it. Right now, I guess we don't really have too much information other than the fact that he's set to miss the first few games for MI at least. So maybe there is the right amount of caution being taken. So that's maybe a good sign. I mean, just purely from a cricket follower perspective, you'd want Bumrah to be happy, healthy, and play as long as possible. So, I mean, if all parties involved are working towards that goal, then I guess we'd hopefully see the right decision being made. I think the general injury scene is quite, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's been a hectic season already with Champions Trophy and all that. Players coming in from that, a lot of hits and misses, potentially a lot of niggles here and there. So that's going to be interesting to see how it pans out during the season. Let me turn around the question to both of you. Will we see a first-time winner? I'm interested to know your predictions on that. Will one of the holy trinity, so to speak, in DC, Punjab, and who's the third one?
RCB.
Royal Challengers Bangalore.
RCB, of course, yeah. Will one of those three have a chance to win? Maybe a LSG or a GT sort of thing? GT is already...
Yeah, by the way, the third team I thought who could finish at the bottom is LSG because they have too many injuries. They don't have a good outfit at all, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Okay, there you've already answered. No, but they do have a very explosive batting lineup. In the WPL recently, we saw the Lucknow pitch was a pure batting belter. It's not the old Turner that annoyed a lot of people in Lucknow and even India. That's, at least from the WPL, it seems like a batting beauty with, Pant and Puran and all that. Like, they have explosive batting in the squad. But yeah, like you said, their pace attack does look a little heavily injury prone. Yeah, so first time winners, Mihir?
I'll put my money on Punjab this time. It's just fun to have this, what we would call in football, a mid-table team, kind of having a few upsets here and there, staying in contention to the very end, and then kind of in the business and getting their act together and finishing things off. So it'll be nice to have someone new in the mix in terms of winning the title. Thoda sa naya ek tadka aa jayega IPL ko. It's the 18th season, so Punjab will have fully adulthood they would have achieved by now, I'm assuming. More mature, I guess. The captaincy appointment at least suggests that. Some of the players they've signed also too. So, I'll stick my neck out and say Punjab is not for any cricketing logic. मुझे वो सब समझ में नहीं आता है कि क्या बैलेंस है, कितने इनके पास ऑलराउंडर्स है, कौन क्या करता है, किस टाइप की पिच होती है वहां पर. I have nothing of that information. Just a punt, proper punt, nothing else.
Vibes.
Yeah, vibes like you said.
With punter leading. If you saw the video of Ricky Ponting doing that puja, it's like, I mean, he was born and brought up in South India types. Like, that's the feeling I got. Like the intent with which he was doing those rituals was quite interesting. He's apparently fully bought into this, I'm guessing. So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting squad. If honestly, like, I mean, even for cricketing reasons, if I had to pick between one of the three, the Holy Trinity, I think Punjab looked to be a very, very not well balanced, but at least the most balanced unit on paper, at least, I think.
Between the three.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. And Ricky Ponting has a point to prove. Shreyas Iyer has a point to prove. So that could be an interesting combination.
Totally. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Of course, it's impossible to pack an entire IPL season preview in 30 minutes. So we'll be doing more of these episodes as and when we spot new trends, we spot any of the talking points. I think one of the talking points straight up that'll be there in the IPL is the saliva ban that's lifted and the impact it has. The impact player rules, of course, has many of its haters. It's like the VAR in football. So impact player is something that will again have an outsized impact. So all these things, of course, we'll keep an eye out. We'll be having a player watch too, I guess, once the season begins. See how Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Jasprit Bumrah, all of these guys too. There's also plenty of other sport coming up. So it's the start of a big season. It'll be a start of a season that goes on breathlessly until the end of the year. So join us on this ride and we'll have fun. That's it for Game Time today. Vinayak, Venkat, thanks. We will be back with a new episode next week.
You were listening to Express Sports by The Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.